Hello everyone. Hopefully my camera is working. I think it is. Um, Never mind the mess right behind me. Uh, but I'm just gonna jump right into my video because I don't want to focus on other things. Uh, Today I want to talk about sun and moon in your chart, and the reason why I want to do this because I think they play a significantly important role in your chart. Majority of people know their sun. So basically, let's say if you're born from the end of February to the end to like 22nd of March, it means you're Pisces, and sort of people associate themselves with their sun signs. However, this is just like the top of the iceberg when it comes to your personality, and you uh, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you need to understand other parts as well. And in this particular video, I wanted to talk about the moon because there is a really interesting relationship between the sun and the moon. I'm not really going to focus that much on the sun because the sun is something that people already know. Uh, People just read their horoscope according to their sun sign, which I don't think is sort of the thing you should do. It's just like I don't read daily horoscopes, and they're just limited. You can't really, you just can't. Sun signs do definitely have something in common, but it's just a huge generalization, and it doesn't give you enough detail in terms of what your personality is all about. And moon, on the other hand, I think provides significantly more details in terms of how you interact with this world and um, how you are in relationships and how you sort of handle different things. But I'm going to sort of, in order to structure it, I'm going to sort of present the sun and the moon according to a classical psychological model and from psychological from psychiatric analysis point of view, there is the consciousness and the subconsciousness. And I'm not going to go too much into the detail in terms of what it means, but I think a lot of people do sort of have an idea of what it's all about. But basically, what it means is that the sun is basically your consciousness. It's the things that you're aware of. And like majority of people, if it's a Virgo or Scorpio, they're quite aware of certain things about themselves because they read their sun's sort of description of their sun sign, and they think, oh, okay, that's me. And the moon is quite different because in that sort of psychological analysis, from that sort of perspective in a psychological analysis, the moon plays the role of the subconsciousness. So these are the things that you're not aware of. And quite often, the things that you're not aware of are the things that are driving you forward. And uh, basically, what happens quite often when I do astrological reports, and back in the days I used to do it in front of other people. I don't really do it anymore, but it is sort of a very really fun thing to do, because when you sort of tell people how they are, and when you tell them about their sun or their Venus, they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. But when you tell them about their moon, quite often people are not aware, and it's their closest ones, it's their partners, it's their closest friends, their family members. They go, oh my god, that's you, that's totally you. And it's sort of like it takes years and experience to realize your subconsciousness, to understand what's the hidden part of your personality. And that's why moon sort of becomes moon is important in understanding your personality, and it becomes a sort of significant factor later on in life in terms of how you handle life, because you can't quite avoid it. Moon is a very emotional side of your personality. So let's say your sun is sort of your ideas and your values and or what you value in life, and you sort of tend to get along with the same people. So if you're Virgo, you get along with Capricorn. and Taurus, but it's very sort of mental. Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, you get along, but it's the moon that plays a really important role when it comes to subconsciousness. So basically, what is the moon position in your chart? It's um, it's something that manifests itself when you're in a crisis, or um, when you develop really deep, strong emotional attachments to other people. And it's sort of like all those problems that you deal with at the beginning of a relationship. This is the moon. These are the moons interacting, because you sort of meet each other and then you don't know each other very well, and so really lovely. And then bang, moon sort of kicks in, because you have to deal with problems, personal problems, challenges of life, pressure from, I don't know, your families, your career, whatever it might be. And then the moons become interacting between two people, the moon of the one person and the other person. And then it can become quite sort of problematic if moons are not compatible. They just speak basically different languages. But if moons are compatible, relationships become quite solid and satisfactory, because everyone wants to lean on someone. Like, that's just common sense. And you want to be with somebody who can handle you. And moon compatibility in the chart is precisely that. If two people are compatible through their moons, they can go through things. They can go through problems together without destroying each other. And obviously, they will have their struggles, but they will understand each other. They'll have certain amount of empathy towards each other. And they wouldn't, pull the wrong strings. When two moons are not compatible, and I've seen this before, when two moons are not compatible, people, like, when you're stressed and you're in a crisis, the person will push precisely the button that they should, that red button nobody should ever press. And these are the people who have conflicts in their moon signs. So I strongly believe that you should choose partners not by your sun sign. So let's say if you're a Scorpio, you shouldn't just be with Pisces. I don't believe in that. I definitely believe in this moon compatibility, and like if your moon is in Aries and the other person is moon in Gemini, most likely, you will get along. Although those things overlap sometimes, that happens as well. So you can be, I don't know, Sun Virgo, Moon Gemini, and the other person will be Sun Aries, Moon Scorpio. And they sort of will develop this strange, sort of overlap of those compatibilities. Because Virgo is compatible with Virgo, and Aries is compatible with Gemini. So that's quite good when that happens, actually. When Sun and Moon both interact with each other, those relationships are really dynamic. Because sometimes relationships are based on a crisis, like two people meet, they go through a really hard time, they bond, and then they don't quite know what to do because they don't have other factors. So compatibility based on moon only is not ideal. But nevertheless, when you go through a crisis together with another person, that person is going to be special to you for the rest of your life. So I definitely put more value, more sort of emphasis on how two people are compatible in terms of their moon. But on a personal level, moon basically is how you are when you're put in a new situation. So it's just like it's sort of your instincts, and you don't really know how to react. Like Sun is very developed. It's like intellectual. You sort of know your values. You know who you are. You can stand up for yourself because you have a certain system of beliefs. Moon is something you can't quite control. You're put in a new situation, and you like sometimes you just do really weird things, and you just think, why did I do that? What exactly happened just there? That's basically Moon. It's you're in a new situation, and it's really raw. The reaction is really raw. That's why the Moon is a very emotional sort of side of your personality. Basically, Moon manages your emotions, or you manifest your emotions through that particular sign. Moon also manifests itself when you're in a critical situation. So when you're under a lot of stress, your moon will come out, without a doubt. Sun just gets pushed into the corner and nobody remembers about the sun. Moon just, comes with full force and makes you do things that you don't quite understand, especially if your sun and moon are very different. Let's say if your sun is very sort of calm sign and then your moon is something really like sort of energetic, like Aries, like, and you could do something that will be completely out of character and you wouldn't be able to explain it afterwards. But if you know what your moon sign is, you can work with it. The whole point of me making this video is sort of to explain how you can work with your moon, because if you know your subconsciousness, if you know your dark side, I'm not saying it's necessarily dark, because it's not just about darkness and all these really weird things that we do. The moon, it runs our emotions in a good sense and in a bad sense as well. And you need to be in touch with your emotions in order to have a rewarding life, in order to have a rewarding relationships. You do need to understand the emotional side of you. I think Western society puts quite a lot of emphasis on the intellectual side, but emotional side is as important, and the moon plays exactly that role in your chart. So I'm just going to stop with this sort of general explanation, and I'm going to go straight into what different moon signs mean and how they sort of manifest themselves.